Why weren't you more successful?
Well, because I sucked. So.
Yes. What is going on, everybody? It's a very special day. Welcome to this inaugural. I'm feeling like a patriotic voice right now. This is the inaugural
Get in there.
Inside Dirt Show episode being recorded in the new Maroochydore Sunny Coast studio. It's a momentous time. I got to compose myself because we haven't done a studio show in a long time, very long time. Doing video for the first time for reels and such. YouTube, we're stepping it up, and this is the Inside Dirt Show. Of course, brought to you by the good people at Gas Imports. This show is supported by Thor Australia, the 2025 Thor range out now. Make sure you check out the Gas Imports brand pages. Check out Thor. We had the likes of Joel Whiteman being top privateer in the opening rounds of Australian Supercross at Redcliffe. Whiteman rocking the new 25 Thor gear. So make sure you go check out the Gas Imports website and the brand pages there. We're also supported by the Michelin Starcross 6. A lot of Michelin members, Michelin riders, should I say, over there in Europe for the International 16 Enduro, which is going down, just finished in Spain, I believe it was. So again, incredible tyre. There was some Starcross 6s out there on some privateers at Australian Supercross, but as everybody knows, they dominate in the bush, multi-time AOSC Championship tyre. So again, massive shout out to Gas Imports, Thor MX Australia, and the Michelin Starcross 6. Make sure you guys check it out. And with that being said, let's get into the show. Inside Dirt Show, Redcliffe Australian Supercross rounds 1 and 2 recap show. And I'm joined by two people helping make this happen. We're going to do it in a reverse order. I'm first going to introduce Mr. Adam Styles. I guess we call him Producer Adam now.
Absolutely.
And he's got a mic, so he's going to talk.
Very little. I'm going to talk very little.
See, not only is Adam one of the best motocross and supercross photographer in Australian moto, in the world, I would say. He is the guy behind all the ID Media Group content, all the Inside Dirt imagery that you see. But he's also just moved house and got a killer man cave where his office is. And I said, Adam, how do you feel about putting a podcast studio in here? He's like, in his typical New Zealand chill vibes, he's like, yeah, we could probably do that. Okay. And then we walk in this morning and there's a full production going on in here. So Adam, thank you very much. And we won't hang too much shit on you for being from New Zealand. And appreciate it, man.
No worries.
All right, a guy that you all know very well. He is the newly reformed introductory voice of Australian Supercross in the stadiums. A guy I've known for far too long. Don't call it a comeback. Aiden Williams, what's happening?
Never a comeback, never left. Just hiding in the shadows. What's up, Joe? How cool is this, man? We've got some awesome memorabilia on the walls. One of the best man caves I've been into in a minute. And just then when you're doing your pre-show, man, picking up some love. There's a bit happening now with the Inside Dirt Show.
It's good, man. Honestly, I'm very excited. Adam, again, can't thank him enough. Fantastic. And we've been needing to take things to the next level for a while. And I've just needed a space to do it and probably the mind frame to do it and the reason to do it. And if we're going to be completely transparent, I think Australian Supercross is the reason to do it because Aiden, we didn't just get back. This is a week late, but
Kind of still feels like it. It's a big weekend, that
double header. And then I had to move, literally got back from Redcliffe at whatever time Sunday night, went to bed, 7 a.m. Monday morning, movers at my house, had to move house, kids, family. The week following Redcliffe, we had the biggest week we ever had with ID Media Group clients and content and Inside Dirt. We had a team of about 5 people at the event. It was hectic. So I was just between the new studio and needing to do all that work and move house, I was we're just going to move this show a week. But here we are. And
I'm happy with that, man. I was at the track till I think 2 o'clock on the Monday afternoon, just trying to get everything shut down. The feel around it, everyone was knackered there. And any Supercross event is a massive day. You go bang straight back out there the next morning, and then you chuck on top of that the fantastic idea to move out. I actually move next week.
Yeah, you move next week. You're up here for a while though, right?
Uh-huh.
When do you go to Melbourne?
I go to Melbourne end of next week. End of this week, sorry. It is all my stuff gets picked up, and then I'm down Melbourne.
Right, so after
the Gong. So
after
I'll
the
drive
Gong.
from here down to the Gong, and then continue down to Vis.
Damn, that's a shame. I would have liked to have you in here for more, but we'll make it work. But no, you're on the Danny Ham program. You're building the tracks. You're commentating.
Yeah.
You well, you're not building the track. You build the infrastructure with your brother.
Yeah, basically the start line structures, the finish line, and then we have the pyro guys come in. There's 300 or 400 odd tough blocks out there. There's a lot of infrastructure that you actually have to set up, going from just a grassy field to.
Dude, people have no idea. Like when you. And I forget each year at the first round, when you look at the finish jump or you look at the start structure, like these are legit structures.
Oh, that thing's
like,
6.5, 7 meters tall. It's got to weigh around a ton. Just the signs on it, I think, are 6, 7 meters wide sort of thing. So to give it any sort of perspective into the size of it, that thing's like 3-story balcony that you basically just build a structure around the outside. So it's a long way up there. And
it is, man.
The start line's 40 odd meters wide.
The start line is not like it's all you just forget, right? Like even I know I've commentated Supercross for a long time as of you, and even the first round you're out on the floor and like opening ceremony Saturday. Yeah, the first round. I'm like walking on the start straight to do something, and the pyro guy's like, "Get off the start straight," and I'm like, "What?" He's like, I'm like, "Oh yeah, pyro and opening ceremonies. I need to move," and we had to hide out in the structure until we got called up. But
that's what makes it cool, man. It's just that next element of a show, isn't it? You come down that tunnel, and how cool is it to walk down? Nostalgic KO Stadium tunnel, rub your hand down the roof, and then just step out into it. And the spectacle that they put on with the AME crew, man, it was sick.
It was legit, honestly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, not to. This isn't an official Oz Supercross product by any means. This is something we're doing independently. But I will say, after seeing all the content coming out this past week, I've spoke with Sinks and the guys from AME, and they're just stoked. Like seeing the amount of like they're putting out incredible content, but then the teams, the agencies like us, and Foremost, like all of these different entities, right? Like
there's so much hype around it right now.
So much good content, and I was like, man, we got to step up. We got to start doing more with our podcast and our editorial coverage. And if you guys watching on YouTube, you can see Inside Dirt in the background. There's all the good content on there, so make sure you check that out from the opening rounds. But let's recap the event, man. Sold out stadium. Saturday night.
Packed night one. And I mean, I still think 70-75% capacity on.
I heard close to 8,000 night two, man. So it's like pretty much.
That's it, 10,000 is.
I think it was like 18 to 20,000 in total over the 2 days.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so many people came back the second day. There were so many people I saw out there the first night, and they're like, man, we loved it so much. We just jumped back in and got the tickets again for the second day. And if you can put on a sporting event that turns you around the next morning, you want to do the exact same day all over again. That's what's separating these companies now. That's what AME is, knocking the nail right in the middle of the head. Anything that you want to go, literally wake up the next day, do it all over again. That's sick.
Well, there's so many avenues to talk about, Aiden, as in like you talk about the racing. Like, I'm not going to lie. We had the schedule in front of us. And when I was commentating that with Cam on the stadium floor, between bouncing to the TV interviews for Trent doing the trackside and back to the gate, it literally felt like from the start of the show, the only intermission was 15 minutes and that had freestyle. It was go from 6 p.m. to 9:30 or whatever it was, right?
And that's what these elite shows are, though. They're running more to that minute by minute. You got, you'll hear it through the comms. We got 60 seconds and they're on the line again. You're just wrapping up your interview, 60 seconds. 30 seconds from now, that board's turning sideways and we're getting after it again. And
like from a fan perspective, the entertainment value of that, I mean, I guess we're kind of numb to that being in the industry.
This was one of the first times being back, seeing Supercross on this level again, that did get those little chills. Like you mentioned the pyro, and anyone that watched that 450 race, everyone knows what I'm talking about.
I mean, dude, chills. That was, and I'll be real, I'm
what was that like to call that,
bro? I guess I consider myself Australian. I've been here long enough. Like
we do.
I'm adopted. Ish. I don't know about Adam. He's still
Kiwi.
Well, he actually is. You're going to be a citizen soon, right? Yeah, I'm not.
Are you a citizen, Joe?
I'm not. No. I'm a permanent resident.
No, we like to keep a couple out.
Yeah, he's a bit of insurance policy. Yeah. But, I was on the mic and obviously I'm like, come on, Redcliffe, this is for Australia. Like, this is Australia versus the Americans. And, of course, they're just like...
And one of them's Scottish.
Yeah, but he's not. He's American.
Same as you. Yeah.
He's funny. He's like... His accent is... He's probably got an accent that's more messed up than mine.
You can still hear the Scot in the back of it every now and again, but how long's Dino been racing in the US? When did he win that title?
Bro, first time I went to America was 2006, and I rode with him then.
Yeah.
So, long time.
Yeah, long time ago.
About as long as these jerseys. I mean, we've got to talk about the memorabilia real quick. We've got the Michael Byrne 2006 Factory Cowie jersey, Ezra Last 2004 Factory Cowie jersey. And the cool part is this is all Thor. So Thor sponsored the show.
That wasn't
And I would love to
intentional.
say it was intentional, but it was just purely coincidental. But
Even there, just down out of shop, we got the Villapoto amateur jersey, that first debut on the Pro Class.
that would have been, what year was that? 2006.
I know, but there was some valves being abused that year, I'm sure.
Oh, man, so good. But getting back to the topic, what were we talking about?
The race.
The race, that's right.
We're here for Supercross.
We are here for Supercross. But the, Australia, sorry. I was like,
Yep.
you know, the crowd, and obviously when Cloud, like, I was like, yeah, like, he crossed the line, I'm
Yeah.
fist bump, I'm like, yes, and everyone's losing it in the crowd. And it was, I've got people I know in the industry that run like mainstream businesses,
Yep.
and they had friends that got corporate boxes, like all the corporate boxes sold out.
Yep.
And these people just came to watch that person's child, like
Yeah.
kid or whatever, right? Race SX3 or 85s.
Yep.
And these people, like, legit just mainstream, don't really know much about the sport. They were like, this is the most entertaining thing we've
Yeah.
ever seen. And I mean, I don't know if it was intentional. I don't think it was. The track, I was skeptical of the, I'll be real. I'm not going to like blow smoke 24/7.
Yep.
I was a little,
First.
yeah, it's fair call.
Anyway.
Yeah. I was a little skeptical of the track design when I was there, and when I seen it, I was like, oh. But I finally got a chance to watch it back on TV last night.
Yeah, I watched it there 2 nights ago.
Yeah, and that changed my whole perspective
Yeah.
on the track layout. Because when you're on the stadium floor, you know what it's like when you work in the event. You don't get a lot of time to sit in the stands and like watch the event, right?
Yeah.
So you're on the floor, you don't see everything.
I mean, everything's coming up and back, and you can't really see over the triple jump. You can't really see around the finish line, sort of thing. So it's all coming all directions.
Yeah.
And with that track, for sure. Even when I was calling the GoPro lap for the introductions and stuff like that, telling where he was actually taking off and then going around corners, it looped back a lot. There was a lot going on. It was such a busy track. But then you see it from that elevated filming platform, sort of thing. You're like, oh, this makes so much more sense.
It does. And I think the thing I realized last night, because I was like, why? And this is me, we're in the game, and it was an interesting realization for me. I was like, okay, why does this track feel a little disjointed to what we see in America? And then I was like, I figured it out. In America, they use baseball stadiums,
Yeah.
speedways,
Yeah.
or NFL stadiums. NFL stadiums are far longer than a rugby field.
Yep.
Obviously,
Wider.
the baseball stadiums like Anaheim are super wide,
Yep.
right? But then an NRL stadium, it's wide enough and long enough, but it's not as long as America. And it's not as wide as America.
It's almost like an indoor-outdoor over here. That we
Yeah,
sort of have.
'cause
You
I was
see
like-
that indoor stadiums, a lot of looping back, a lot of jumping between. You know, what I mean, you remember every track in the day used to have a tunnel that you went under just so they could really utilize.
So are they going to use that?
There was talk of it. I know. I was talking to Adam when we were setting that up and stuff, and there was talk at trying to get that for a few rounds. That would be. I mean, it's just so cool to have that element of a tunnel jump, but there's obviously a lot of licensing and hoops you got to jump
Yeah,
through
it's
to get
probably
something like that done.
yeah, like protect. Like I guess it is a steel structure, right?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. It's a couple of ton of steel.
But like when they jumped across the start straight, I was like, why is the track so close to the gates? Like, why? Because the mechanics were like sweeping.
And they were right
gates.
on every boundary out there too.
They were, but that's what I realized when I watched TV. I couldn't get my head around it in the chaos of the event. Not chaos, but like just the,
It is chaos.
it is organized chaos. But watching it back on TV, I was like, man, they actually did an amazing job.
Yeah.
Fit and you know what, man? Hats off to them. With the rain, the turnaround time. Like,
Day did you get there?
I got there Friday.
I was
and
there Thursday.
There
Not a
was
good day.
not a lot going on because the rain.
Oh man, Thursday was brutal. I was sitting in
Well,
the
yeah, you know the schedule. You were building the track, right?
Well, it was meant to be.
Yeah.
We couldn't get on there until Friday at least. So, then you got 20, 30 guys that are just working around the clock. We're on there 16, 17 hours a day just to try and get it set up. And even as we're coming into practice, it's the last tough box just going out, everything just going in. But yeah, I was sitting in the stands with Adam and we're watching the rain fall, and the whole track's like an inch underwater, and there's no trucks running in, and the machines are all off, just going, come on.
Like, it's a shame because press day was really good, but at the same time, obviously it would have been better to have them on track, but it just wasn't a possibility. But there's a couple things the track,
The whoops are the things we have to talk about. That night one or night two, because I'm a fan of big whoops. There is two sides that you can look at it though. Big whoops, it's going to separate the boys from the men, and it's going to see who's on that next level and who's been putting in. With as big as they were though, it was really Dino's. No one could get anywhere close to him. It did sort of take away from the racing in the end, the size, because no one was on that level.
My counter to that though, when I watched it back last night, I agree, right? Two things. I think with the track build, and Josh might say different. He might say I'm wrong, and that's fine. I feel like with the rush track build, not the first whoop, but they build the platform.
Yep.
I felt that was a little too low. So a lot of guys couldn't comfortably get on it, right?
Actually on top of it, yeah.
I may be wrong. So if I'm wrong, pro tracks, tell me. Secondly, though,
We'll try to get some videos of the whoops up
when
here
Noah
too.
Ferguson in SX2 was blitzing them,
Perfect.
everybody's excuse in the 450s goes out the window.
Yeah. So you just do
You know what I
Joeys and
mean?
your Cloudies and all that. What's Fergo done? 2 seasons of Supercross.
Yeah,
and I mean, it was consistent every lap. Again, though, you look at how much further ahead he was. Is it better for the racing to have them small where everyone can do it, or are we at that point now? We should be building these tracks that these boys, you got to commit, because as soon as Ferg committed, he had to go outside in that turn in the left-hander, and he committed, got on top. It was consistent lap after lap, and I mean they're making a second and a half in those whoops easily.
They were. I guess my opinion is this, and I'm not saying that it was. Again, they built what they could with the time they had, and I'm not discrediting the track builders, the track design. But you look at America.
Track was unreal with what was on.
It was, man. And I was about to say before we started on the whoops, the switchbacks after the whoops.
There we go. There you got the whoops there.
Here's the on-off that we're talking about. But there's Cloudy. This is night 2.
This is night number 2, yeah.
Yeah, and they're getting through them no problem. But the switchbacks here, the ability for block passing was incredible.
Yeah.
And some of the best racing action we saw all night was in these switchbacks. But getting back to the
One
whoops,
just on camera as we're talking about it, Dino going up the inside.
yeah, how good is it happening? so this is
Next level.
very different to what we've been doing the last couple of years. It's so great. Anyway, what I was going to say is, in America, Anaheim 1, Phoenix, the introduction tracks are normally quite tame.
Yep.
But they can do that because it's a 17-round, 5-month championship. We have 5 rounds.
Yep.
Now, do I think they should build a set of 85cc whoops at round 1? No. But do they want to keep all the Aussie stars healthy? Look, the whoops in the end provided an amazing... They were the centerpiece for the battling, and ultimately they did tame them down for round 2 on Sunday, and it made it a lot more racy and competitive. But when you've got... I agree. You go, okay, Dean Wilson's just amazing at whoops. But then when you got Ferguson skimming him, it makes no sense.
Well, Ferg, was he 19 to 20? Like, Ferguson's an old guy.
He doesn't
2
have
seasons
Supercross
of-
experience,
it.
And he said in his Instagram, he was like, I guess everyone else just... I think it was podium interview, sorry. He's like, everyone just had to man up and hit the whoops, right? I agree. The Aussie guys need to be better in the whoops, but I also agree between bike setup, the first Supercross race since December last year with AUSX Open. It's not... you and I went and walked the track.
What you had 3-4 rounds last year? You're not racing a lot of Supercross.
Like,
You're doing
Wilson
it for a
is-
month at the end of the year.
Wilson is 17 rounds deep from AMA Supercross. He's done SMX, couple outdoors. He's done Brazilian Supercross. So him staring down the barrel at them, you go, it's just another day. But for all the boys that have hit the same sets of whoops on the 2 test tracks they ride coming into Supercross,
in the days that it's not raining.
it's not the same. So I think the Aussie guys need to cut some slack. But before we get into the racing and the play-by-play, I also want to talk about, you did the VIP experience in the pits. And that was the other part of the event that I think AME really knocked out of the park, was that talking about the fans, I don't know how many thousands of people purchased the VIP. It was sold out. I know that. And you took them around the pits and you do all the activations with the sponsors and the teams. And I'm in the pits calling practice and qualifying times. I'm in the stadium, sorry. Is that what I said?
Yep.
And I can hear you in the pits
Gets the
doing the
people going.
VIPs, gives them what they want. But again, man, just...
It's a show from when you show up there. And for all those lucky enough to get the VIPs, and I know they're doing VIP experiences at the other rounds and stuff, if you can get in there early, you see a whole different side, more the side that we see of it. You're not going to see the setup and the nitty gritty, but you've got a lot more of that interactive time where the barrier's sort of down, especially between the rider and the public, or, the giveaways and the things. Once you've got 10,000 people in there, it's hard for an athlete to really give undivided attention to anyone. Whereas you're lucky enough to get in that VIP experience. These guys are just kicking around the pits. They're going about their day-to-day. They're walking between the truck and just having a look. They're sitting in that same, early grandstand and stuff where people, all the publicans are sitting. So, that party side of it. Then the pit party kicks off a little bit after that, It was awesome to have the Matt Hughes boys there.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Blowing the roof off the place. So that was a cool initiative where
They'll be at the Gong as well. So they're coming down the
Are they
Gong.
going to all of them?
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
For those of you that weren't there that are listening, me and Cam, so Aiden would do like the pre-opening ceremony thing, did the whole Pit Viper mullet deal, which was wild to say the least. And then we would do our opening
Imagine
ceremonies.
the mullets in the Gong.
Yeah, there was some decent ones at Brisbane too, man. And then we would throw it to the Mad Hueys to do the Gentlemen Start Your Engines before the first heat race went off. And the first night, I've never met the Mad Hueys. I'm not gonna lie, it's not really
Same.
my deal. Like,
That's more my deal, fishing and surfing.
yeah,
and
you.
stuff like, yeah,
I'm
100%.
getting into it up here. Like I'm learning. Adam's gonna take me out and get me barreled and
Teach you how to swim.
G'day.
Mate, I'm calling you into the shittest waves.
He said it the other day. He's like, when I take you out, I'm going to pull you into the shittest waves just to get some payback.
You're going to have to get him on a boogie board in the pool first.
No, I can surf, bro. Just
Oh,
not very.
actually
Yeah,
went
yeah.
surfing when you first moved to the Gold Coast.
When we were, wow.
I hope you're better than that. We didn't.
I'd
really
never
get on
surfed
that
before.
point,
Yeah. Coach Aiden. Anyway,
no, Hueys were there, and I mean, this round we got Alexander Volkanovski. You know, UFC.
Volk will be at
Volk's a
Wollongong.
part of that. The whole atmosphere around the pits now is just as much the show as the racing. You get to spend hours in around these guys. You know, Fox is there with giveaways. You can ride these little e-bikes. Honda's there doing, pit bike rides and stuff around for kids. So for all those people that aren't like us, aren't in the industry, aren't there every weekend, to come out and experience initiative to this, I think anyone that wasn't a fan of the sport that went to this event would definitely go back to another one.
And I think, again, it's not the smoke blowing fest of Supercross, but we have to just be real. Like, I'll be real. There was some things that didn't work.
Yeah.
I've just commented on the track design. I think things could be certainly better. I don't know how I feel about the split race final format. It's tough. There's pluses
I'd
and
almost do
minuses.
the back-to-back, but like how we used to do the back-to-back. You go back, you got the 5-10 minutes to recover on the line and do them.
I mean, do you remember when they used to push the bikes off the finish?
Yeah, well, saying that was the 4 back-to-back, so we had the quad and that.
And the eliminators. Like, I don't know, man.
That's so exciting, but it's
I'm showing my age more so than Adam, but
Would you say you prefer a 20-lap final?
I do. I don't even like 20 minutes in America. I think 20 minutes is too much. I think the AMA Supercross has suffered because of the track prep and the duration of the races, because it's pretty much indoor motocross now.
Yeah.
And I don't
20
agree with
minutes is
that.
a long time on a
It's too
Supercross
long, bro.
show.
It is. I think it's 5 to 7 minutes longer than a 20-lap main event on average. Yeah. And dude, 5 minute plus 5 in a pro moto outdoors is a long time, but in Supercross,
That's huge.
that's like another 10 laps.
Yeah, well, your heart rate's just peaking from the first corner, and now you got to hold it there for 20 minutes flat.
Yeah. So I again, I don't know what I'm
What's the
asking
format
for.
the Wollongong?
I don't know what the format is. Let's have a look.
That up.
One of them is a Triple Crown. I think that's AUSX Open.
Yeah.
Adelaide has got a whole funky format with the sprint format with the supercars. Anyway, again, I'm just using that to highlight. I didn't love everything. I loved 95% of it.
Yep.
There's a lot of things they can tweak, but they will. But
That's
all in all,
always round one,
like
too.
round 1, round 2, man, back in Brisbane, I was, for lack of a better term, fucking stoked.
Yeah,
Like,
man. I was bummed.
it was really good. And man, I said to Bailey in the stands, we were hanging out on Saturday for a minute, and I was like, Supercross in every city next year? Like,
Yeah.
And he's like, that's the goal.
I mean, wouldn't it
And
be cool?
I don't want to quote what he said to me because it'll be out of context and people will, but
Ready to clip this?
let's just say that they have very big plans
100%.
for Australian Supercross.
I mean, you look what Adam's already achieved in Australian Supercross, and then the kicking off the World Supercross. You know, you got so much experience in there. Him and Kelly, what they're doing there.
It's incredible, man.
Next year is going to be bigger and badder than ever, but I guarantee Wollongong's bigger and badder than Redcliffe was, and we'll continue to see that trend throughout the year. And I mean, Redcliffe was sick, bro. Like, I had an absolute ball at Redcliffe. The fans had a ball. You know, I was lucky enough to watch from the corporate area on the end of that first night. I watched the last finals, and I've never actually sat in a grandstand and watched it. And I was on the edge of I wasn't sitting down, but on the edge of the seat, you could see it raining. Not a single person went for a poncho. Not a single person was looking for cover. Everyone stayed just glued to their seats, and it was that good.
Dude, the racing was incredible. All right, anyway, Inside Dirt Show. This one's been brought to you by the good crew at Gas Imports. Thor MX25 in stores now, and as is the Mission Starcross 6. That tire's been out for a little bit now, and like we said, dominating in the bush. And there was a decent contingent of Thor riders in the Supercross, and check those guys out. But Aiden, let's get into it. We've done the intro. We've thanked Adam for this amazing man cave studio that he has built himself and vicariously us. So let's get into the racing. I guess we start with the heavy hitters. We start with SX1.
Yep.
I feel like Joe Rogan. Hey, Adam, can you pull up the...
Yeah. Just want to pull up model number. Okay, that's it there.
There it is. Right. So looking at the points.
walks away in front, which is...
So Wilson wins two two mains. Savachi wins a main,
Yep.
and Clout wins a main. Am I correct in that?
Yep.
Right. So
Wilson won 1 on the first night. Cloudy went 1-3 on the second night. Savachi 3-1 for the overall,
Yeah.
which then gives Savachi the red plate as well.
So Wilson won both mains at night one.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize when you're calling the action and when you're at the event, dude, even trying to do press releases and content, bro,
yeah.
4 Supercross mains over 2 days.
Yeah, it's
That's
crazy.
a lot to remember. 40 laps of fury. I'm going to do that next time.
Just to practice it first.
Yeah. Can I do that again? 40 laps of fury. Anyway.
And I mean, that's only one class. And then you got SX2, then you got
SX3, then
you got
85s. And the
85.
racing was good across everything. But let's start with SX1. So Savachi, 2 points up on Wilson. And then Clout is a further 5 points back of Savachi and 3 points back of Wilson. Now, I think
That's a moto.
if you look at, I listened to some American media outlets on just this week, moving house, building furniture, whatever, and they touched on Aussie Supercross. And I found it, again, you see a disconnect between if you were at the event and if you weren't, because they were just like disappointed to a degree how much Savachi and Wilson were better than everybody else.
Yeah.
And look, night one, I'm not going to lie, like, yes, they dropped Cloudy by 30 seconds in that second main event. But for once, other than Mossy absolutely annihilating himself through that rhythm, which was a shame. I don't know how he rode the next day.
That was a massive off get.
Massive. But that's Mossy.
It's
That's
Mossy,
what he
yeah,
does.
it's
That's just
Mossy.
what he does. Like, he's
pull up.
just built different.
Yeah.
But I guess the point I'm trying to get to is I felt it was actually a smart decision for Clout, because he set fastest times in qualifying. He was faster than Wilson at times. He did that double before the finish out of the rhythm. He was the only Aussie guy to do it, right? Crashed in qualifying doing it, had a big one. Crashed in the whoops in the first heat race, had a big one. And we all love Cloudy. We do a lot for the Empire Kawasaki team in Kawasaki, Australia. They're one of our clients. But we all know Cloudy, and when it goes sideways, it can continue to go sideways. And before you know it, he's DNF'd both nights.
And that's what's cost him some championships in the past. It's like Cloudy always finishes strong, and if he's there, he's going to be in the championship hunt. But if you come out of round number 1, 15 points down, and you're only in a 4 or 5 round championship, that's way too much to come back. This is where Cloudy needed to be. Everyone that went into Redcliffe knew that half of it had to be survival mode. Because like you said, you got 40 laps of Supercross. The track deteriorates out of hand just in that many laps. You had some rainfall and there was a lot of rocks in the soil and stuff like that. You had gnarly big whoops. So with so many different factors going on, you really need to go into Redcliffe with just the aim of getting to Wollongong with your championship hopes still alive. You look at guys like Aaron Tanti, the same thing, had a couple of rough nights sort of thing, and after a few big crashes, lucky to score his way back into the points and, not too far out of there. But it was almost, championship over for Tanny just because of a few small mistakes. Good to see Cloudy show that maturity at the first couple. He's come in 5 points. That's a moto. Anyone can drop a moto.
It's nothing, man. And I think that you summed it up perfectly. For me, Clout may have been 35, 40 seconds back in some of the finals.
And third, though.
But who cares?
Yeah,
like,
just third.
he got through the event and he clearly now is the Australian hope.
Yep.
I think there's going to be a few additions. Tanny's going to podium.
Yep.
And I think Beaton is actually going to...
How much does Jed Beaton surprise you?
So let's talk about, I don't want to not talk about the Americans, but the reality is Wilson is... Actually, I do want to talk about this. I was surprised a little that I thought Savachi was actually better than Wilson.
I thought he was faster everywhere but the whoops.
His turn and corner speed was incredible.
Unreal. The flat turns especially.
The flat turn, he was just a little more polished than Dean. And for being on that bike for 5 days...
That's crazy.
That was really impressive. And I feel that surprised me a little bit, but Wilson was still really impressive. But those two are going to be in it. But I feel like Savachi, looking at that round 1 and 2, may have the edge. Now,
just in corner speed, that's where I was noticing it. Just that little bit quicker on the acceleration out of the turns, turning down a little bit.
I was about to say he was lower in the turns.
Yeah.
He was executing the turns Cooper Webb-esque, not as high, and not as long.
Off nothing. There wasn't lines there. He'd just get to the middle of it, knew his moment, knew where he wanted to line up for the next jump.
And then night 2 after the whoops, did you see him quad over the on-off? He was the first guy to do that.
I didn't think anyone was going to do that.
I mean, Wilson did the quad over the rhythm, the on-off, the triple on-off. He went quad over after the first turn. Not many guys did that. But then again, Clout, I was standing with the Empire guys in practice on day 1, and Clout went out at the beginning of practice. And again, this is the stuff that you got to watch. The first 4 laps of free practice,
Yep.
Clout didn't jump a single rhythm that was a standard rhythm. What I mean by that is,
Just mixing it up.
yeah, so
through
instead of
every rhythm,
going,
yeah.
like everyone knew the baseline rhythm after the first turn.
On, off,
3,
triple,
on, off,
single.
triple, single.
Yep.
Everyone knew that was what it was going to be. Clout goes out, rolls the first one, triples over the on, off, triples again. Next lap, does a different rhythm again,
Yeah, right.
does double in, and then quads off the table over, right?
Canyon
But that's
over too.
that's the rhythm he did to win that race. Because remember when
Yeah, he got pushed
Savacci
wide, yeah.
pushed him Wilson wide?
How intelligent is that, though? To be practicing, you're never going to nail the rhythm perfect every time.
Yeah.
But if you can come into a rhythm, get the first one wrong, and have another option,
That won him that race.
Yeah.
Like hands down, because Savacci did
That
the normal
race.
rhythm. So that shows Clout's kind of mindset.
yep.
But I thought it was really smart of him to do that. But yeah, realistically, man, Clout, is he off of those guys? Yes, a little bit. But on the right track, he can win finals, especially with the format scenarios. I don't know how many traditionals we have. I need to look at it. But there's not many 20-lap mains. No. So it's all for the playing. And obviously, yeah, Wilson and Savacci and Clout so far have established themselves. But we talk about Tanny and Beaton next.
Yeah, and I mean, Jed was definitely the one. We all know how good Jed Beaton is. You know, he's world class. He's raced all over the world. You could not literally come closer to winning the Motocross Australian Championships this year. You know, tied on points as you go into it. It's a brutal way to
literally
win.
he won but
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
Like it was tied.
So, I mean, that's brutal to see that. Coming in, I think there was, a lot of questions around him. You get, the insights and stuff like that he's looking good on the bike. But with virtually no Supercross experience coming in against a class that is stacked and got, seasoned veterans in the Supercross field, he was the one that really impressed me. Jed was definitely that next guy. Like, if Cloudy's a little bit off Dino and Savacci, Jed's just that fraction off Cloudy. And for a guy that, Cloudy's won multiple Australian Supercross championships, he's been doing it for the last 10, 12 years sort of thing. Jed Beaton first year out on that CDR, he looked really good, and he looks so fast in the turns. His transitions were really good. He looked smooth. He was washing a lot of speed like that.
He was.
Off over the start straight, the left, and then triple into the triple. Man, they were scrubbing onto the face of that thing. They were landing like a foot before that takeoff and just washing the speed. He looked like a Supercross veteran. Jed impressed me big time.
He did. I think, again, if you think Savacci was probably the lowest in the turns,
Yep.
and then I'd say Wilson was the highest, but he runs a wide bike.
Yep.
He likes to carry corner speed. Clout was probably a fraction above Savacci, but then you look at Jed. I mean, Tanny, considering he was very tight
He
in the
got some
turns.
starts and could keep it on two wheels. He had the pace for sure.
He did, and I think he was pissed at himself. He said he was too nice, and then watching night one back last night, he got bullied a little.
Yeah.
That's the right term, but he got moved around in the opening laps, and he can't let that happen because once track position is established with guys that are as fast as you,
Yeah.
where are you going to make the most passes on the first lap?
Yeah.
And Cloudy and the Americans did move him around a bit, so that's what he talks about on his socials. But Tanny, some crashes, he looked good. I think at Wollongong we're going to see a different Tanny.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the first turn.
And as I having a look at the points, Tanny, he's still in fifth.
I mean, he's 15 points back of the
And that's where I
championship.
said, Cloudy made the mature decision just to get through there. Tanny, a couple of bad races. It's hard to get 15 points back with 3 rounds to go.
It is. I think the format will help. I mean, realistically, was Tanny going to win the championship? Maybe he thinks he was. I don't know.
I would have had him as one of my guys in the box, though.
He's definitely a top 3 overall.
Yeah.
And I think that's all he needs, man. Realistically, he lost all of... I mean, he raced in Canada,
Yep.
if you count that for motocross, but he lost most of his season with injury this year. He needs a solid base. I think he's going back to the States from what I hear.
Yep.
I don't know who or for what, but I think his intention is to ride AMA Supercross again. So he can't get injured. He can use this as a base for next year. It would be interesting. I'd get a chance
He'll
to
be
talk to
back
him.
on at the gong for sure, man.
And
he'll come out with a point to prove. And if he keeps it all together between here and here, he's fast, man. Aaron Taney's come so close to so many championships and, even faster than others. He's one of those guys every year you come into Supercross, you expect Taney to be one of those guys that's battling for the championship. If not for the championship, then those minor box positions, on the night for sure.
Let's talk about the next guy, Hayden Melrose.
How good to see Melrose back. I got to do an interview with him in the pits, and I was just talking away. I was like, they've got one of the old dogs back up here. And Mike saying, when do you think we can see you back on the bike? He's like, I'm racing. I'm like, no way.
Dude, I feel bad because we did the preseason show a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
you and I didn't even... Oh, what do we got here? We've got Melrose on screen. There we go.
No, it was so good to see him back doing it off his own back.
That's MX2, Adam.
getting him.
That's kitchen. Well, that's the Australian kitchen getting run over. That's a whole different deal. But it's cool. He's old. We'll give him some time to catch up. Anyway,
how cool to see him back, man. Privateer. He was the number one privateer.
Well, I think he's got KTM support because he was in. He had the KTM offset tent from the factory team with Jed Alsop and Hayden Melross. Now, Alsop is the factory MX3 guy. Yep. So looking at it, I'm going, Melross has probably got bikes, parts budget, and support from KTM, which makes sense. He's been a long time with that brand.
I almost wouldn't be surprised if he's everything but the team rider, but coming back from that time off it, do you really want all the pressure, all the contracts, all that added pressure that being on one of the teams and expected to perform? I think that's the best thing for him. Go satellite out the end of the truck. You put yourself in sixth. He's in that position now to be a top 5 guy back in the Supercross, coming off some big injuries, all those surgeries and stuff.
People forget how good Melross. Well, people don't forget, but
I didn't.
I did. Well, I didn't, but I have a lot of recency bias because you can't help it being in the game. You're as good as your last race. When I seen him, and I seen his wife in the pits with the new baby and everything, and I was like, Melross was really good at Supercross. And even a couple of years ago, he went over and raced in America. That's where he broke his ankle.
On the DPH, that bike nipped up in the last lap.
Well, he was going to win.
Won that. He would have won the title.
And dude, how good was he on that? Remember that Yamaha team in the States?
Yeah.
In the 2010, 2016, 17?
I mean, you forget how good he was at motocross too. He plagued with some injuries those last couple of years and stuff. And obviously a lot of surgeries. I think it's on his wrist and stuff, just trying to get that right. But
we did his ACL in 19. Remember when he was riding for Raceline? Yeah. Then he had injuries with CDI Yamaha. But look, Melross, man, I think he's going to build a base. And I think come Marvel, if he gets every gate drop, he's really going to be one of the next guys after the elite Americans. Clout, perhaps. Do I see him challenging Tanny and Clout? Like on a good night, maybe.
100%. And like even talking to him in the pit party the day before and, getting the fans to get to meet Hayden and stuff a little bit. He said, we're just here to get through this weekend. We're not out there for sheep stations. He sees himself as still, a top 5 guy. But as we said to everyone, you're coming back from injury. First goal of rounds 1 and 2 being a back-to-back survive, get through them, get to Wollongong. He's got a chance to regroup now. He'll be back on the bike. He'll be testing hard. I have Hayden definitely out on the podium in some of the rounds this year, and it'd be so good to see him back.
It would, man. It's awesome to see him back. All right, who's next? We got Willsey in P7 in the championship, Dylan Wills. I think Willsey did what he needed to do. He didn't race Pram X, but I think also everyone forgot, and I did too, that not only did he not race Pram X, but he broke his back really badly. So it's not like he just had a regular Willsey Supercross only year where he's still riding and testing, and he was in hospital, man.
Yeah, and when he's out of hospital, he's full-time working. There's not all that time to be the superstar on the bike.
He's a moto journalist, so he did what he needed to do. That's all you can say. Yeah. I think he'll get better. And then
the old dog,
Medi, 24 and 24.
Another one coming back into the pits. I was walking through the pits and saw Medi. I'm like, oh, so good to see you, Medi. Then I saw him in gear. I'm like, no way, these old dogs just keep coming back.
Medi, well, this is his final pro season. It's his final pro championship. I think the thing that I love about Medi, and this is just Medi now, like he's well aware of his program limitations. So like what he does, like I wonder what he gets up to in Adelaide where he lives. And I think the answer is he doesn't do a lot of riding and testing, but he's got so much experience because you talk to him, he's like, man, we haven't had a chance to test Supercross suspension yet. This is but it was the same coming into motocross. And it's just Medi's super laid back. He doesn't have the factory team behind him. And I feel that
he's a guy that's been dialing in bikes for a long, long time. So he knows what the bike's going to do underneath him. He knows what he needs to get from the bike. But you can't be riding 4 or 5 days a week. Betty's done thousands and thousands and thousands of hours on a bike. You've got to take those physical limitations because if you come into round 1 and you're tired and you're sore and you're stiff, there's no point. So I think how cool is it just to have him back in the pits? And then
he got injured in Supercross early last season, but come Adelaide, Medi is going to be...
Medi could win Adelaide.
He could.
Never count Medi out of Adelaide. That last Adelaide, I think we were talking about it.
2019, you and I did it. And he went through the whoops and then he went down in the whoops, but he was so fast that night.
Then a man that,
not the night we've talked about Moss. Look,
big off get in leading up to it.
I was surprised how...
he got back on the bike so easy.
Were you surprised how slow he looked in qualifying?
Yeah, I went in there, and I mean, with our pre-race picks and stuff, we had Mossy, both up there as that guy that can battle with
Podium guy, yeah.
Don't know if he wasn't feeling it, and you don't know, you can come in and just not feel it on the day. You can for sure just some mornings wake up and then, it's just not there. Just things aren't lining up and stuff like that. To me, that's what it looked like, for Mossy.
I thought he was being
here.
smart, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately that crash, I do think that crash bit him out of
That was
nowhere.
a big crash.
Because that pocket, and we talk about the track build, I think that's also why the Americans, especially on night one, when the Aussie guys were trying to get their eye in, the pockets and them rhythms, man, were tight. Like when I had the mic in between one of the races, I went over to the rhythm and I talked to the crowd about the double out of the rhythm before the finish. The one that Savachi and Dean were jumping sideways.
Yep.
And you just look at it and go, oh, the Aussie guys are pussies. They're not jumping that. That pocket was about 1.5 bite lengths long. And they were tripling into that, eyeing the angle.
Yeah.
and jumping about 50, it was about 40, 50 feet to get over that lip into the finish straight.
Not a lot of wiggle room to get it wrong.
Well, you saw Cloudy. You go, oh, it doesn't look that bad to case it. But then Cloudy was the only other guy that did it, cased it, went over the bars big time. So, yeah, you know, Mossy, I think that rhythm, that pocket just caught him out. He wasn't the only rider to crash in that triple, man. That rhythm was gnarly after the on-off. But look, Matt will be better in Wollongong.
100%.
He's been posting Instagram videos of him annihilating a set of monster whoops at the
And
track.
he's a New South Wales boy too, so you know that's
the home round.
Yeah, home round. As you get, like, you know, he grew up in Sussex, so it's not too far from the Gong. That'd definitely be the home round for him.
And then let's look at the rest of them real quick. Joel Whiteman, top privateer. Man, Whiteman didn't race Prime X, raced in America. I talked to him a while ago. He said he wasn't even sure he was going to race Australian Supercross, and top privateer. So hats off to him. Evans, Zielinski, Mather, Jesse Madden, Zach Watson, Olone, Sigliano, Marshall, Wheezy.
Another one of the old guys just getting around it, Robbie Marshall.
I mean, look, man, the depth, I'll be real, the depth in SX1 and all Supercross the last few years hasn't been there.
No.
It was really good to see they needed to qualify.
Yeah.
And it was really good to see that, you know, even Goulet and Wheezy and that.
I was going to say, you still got fast guys down there in 19th.
Yeah, man.
and
Like
20th.
they're
It's a stacked
legit.
field.
They're legit dudes.
Yeah.
So I know Goulet was riding one of the Elliott Bros gas bikes, and it was actually Mossy's race engine from Prime X.
Yeah, right.
And he said to me, he was like, I don't know how he rode this. I can't
Just
ride it in the
leave
stadium. He's like, I need to get a different motor set up for the next round. So I thought that was funny because it just shows how much of a weapon Mossy
It's
is.
an animal.
But like, you know, Robbie Marshall, the vet, Sigliano, man, like no one talks about him. And he's always at Prime X. He's always at Supercross. That guy puts in and he's always in the main. So good job for him.
Yeah, he's chipping away, just always on that bubble.
Cody Olone, Sunny Coast guy, he did actually quite well. Zach Watson was really disappointed with his night, but I think he had a crash in qualifying or one of the heat races on round one.
Yeah, right.
So he said he had a hit his head and he just wasn't himself. Scroll back up, please, Adam. You know, Madden, haven't seen Madden race for a couple of years. It was good to see him back.
Yeah, I was going to say back in the pits again.
Mather on a 450. I mean, look, I've seen him hang with Ferris and Waters and Webster on a 450 at the Sunny
kid can
States.
ride.
Kid can ride a big bike, and he looked really good. Some racing incidents. He got some good starts. He had some crashes. Dude, to be sitting 13 ahead of seasoned SX1 guys, jumping up from MX2, sorry.
Well, what's Mossy? 2-3 spots in front of him.
Exactly,
That's a
man.
multiple-time Australian champion sitting just there.
And then Zielinski looked really good back on the Yamaha. Evans, I seen him bouncing around
And it really
all
is
night.
a stacked class. You're
It
talking
is,
about
bro.
that, even that 15 through to 10 sort of thing. So, again, that's where you got to dip your hat again to Jed Beaton. These are a lot of Supercross veterans in this class. For him to come out there with that fourth place, that was super impressive. Got to get on to SX2, though. That-
Yeah, let's do it right. Inside Dirt Show, brought to you by Michelin Starcross 6 and Thor MX Australia on the 2025 range, available now. And where do you start with SX2, bro?
I thought hurricane season was over.
Man, it was a... I mean, you
Start with
read...
night one. We got to digress this in two nights. The whoops, obviously, a huge talking point again with the SX2.
Yeah.
The crash. Who didn't see the crash? The three-way Honda pile up in the turn that cost them the overall in the end in the night.
I think we've got it. Let's get into it right now. It is the past that echoed around Instagram all week. But here we go. Cole Thompson goes to the inside and just...
I mean, as a block passing move, clutch.
I think that... Look,
If there wasn't three guys in that turn, either one of those block passes would have been crispy.
I don't know what Thompson... I know what Thompson was thinking. He's gone 2 for 1 deal
yeah.
in Redcliffe.
There's the red plate.
He's not afraid to get aggressive,
But then he had to have anticipated that McElrath was going to turn down. But then not only did McElrath turn down, you had Connolly trying to turn down on McElrath, and it was just the perfect storm. But, I mean, it was... Look, Yuriv Konski, everyone jokes, like, oh, there's 17 Honda riders.
They're pumping the field, though. Like,
Bro.
Look at the podiums.
I don't know how he funds it.
No.
And that's not a criticism. Hats off to the man.
Absolutely.
Because
There's
my
more riders
goodness,
with their bums in the top of the sport right now because of Uriv, so you got to dip your hat to
absolutely,
that.
man. And you know, you've got all these imports that are supposed to win, and then Ferguson wins night one, and Ferguson's had a broken back this season. He's been injured. His Prime X was, let's be honest, it was not good. No. So for him to win, and the like you said, Aiden, the telltale factor was the whoops, and he sacked up on that night and got it done through the whoops, and he won that first main, and the pass he made on the final lap in the final turn gave him the overall win. Yeah, you know, it round one. So Ferguson, you know, I think there's a few Aussie guys we got to say were impressive before we get into like McElrath and Thompson.
Ferg's the first of them for sure.
Ferg's the first. I think the next one's Ryder Kingsford.
Yeah, I was just going to say Ryder Kingsford has to be on that list as well.
You know what, Kingsford, man, I don't know how to...
have him in the top 5 list. Man, kid can ride.
I don't know how to explain Kingsford to people that don't know him, because I feel like I've known him for years and I still don't know him. But the kid is just degaff. Like, that's all you can say. Like, on the podium, for the overall podium on round one, he's like... he goes... I heard it. He goes... He was paying out on McElrath. It wasn't even McElrath. It was another Honda guy.
Yeah, there's so many on the field.
I think it was Thompson. But he's like, you know, McElrath stuffed me. He's like, if he wants to race that way, he's like, jokes on him because he's not even up here. So, like, basically, he was like, some shit. You know what I mean?
Have a shit one, yo.
Yeah, that's what he said on TV. And I'm like, man, this, like, he's such a ballsy little dude. Yeah. He's about 3'5", and I think he actually got on top of the whoops at one point, had to go, doesn't care. So, again, Kingsford currently sits.
Doesn't that show that no one else can complain about? If a guy the size of Ryder Kingsford can get up and try and skim the top of those whoops, and Ferg does it every lap, there's no way that Savachi and Cloudy and Jed and these guys can't get on top of him.
No reason. So he was, and then Reed Taylor. We got to talk about Reed Taylor. Reed Taylor currently sits. Where is he in the championship?
Maybe just down a bit further.
He's okay. Night one, he was second overall. Yeah. Reed Taylor was actually your winner until the last turn of the second main, and then Ferguson made the pass. I forget on who it was.
Well, Blakey Van Roy, who works on the crew with us, setting everything up. Everyone knows Blakey around the pits. He actually went up to him and he's like, "You got the overall," and then it come over the radio 2 seconds later. It's like, "Oh, Reed to second."
Yeah, because Reed was celebrating.
Reed yeah. Blakey felt terrible about it.
But then night two, Taylor had a bit of a. It was just a bit of a pole. But I mean, to be fair, so did Ferguson. A lot of them didn't replicate their night one success.
Supercross, man, that's a double header,
especially in SX2. But for real, we had an all Aussie SX2 podium for the first time in, I can't even tell you when.
Yeah, when you got Shane McElrath on the field.
Yeah, so. McElrath, Tom. Now, obviously, they were playing UFC in the turn after the triple. Yeah. We can talk about that now.
No.
But like,
so night two comes around.
You know, McElrath, I still think he was figuring out the bike on Saturday. Thompson, I feel like Thompson's hopped around enough where he can jump on anything and be comfortable, and he looked really good. But he and McElrath on night one, and even into night two, their starts were not there.
Yeah.
Now, Larwood wasn't on the overall podiums on either of them, but man, Larwood looked amazing.
Really good.
Just some rookie errors in Supercross, leading and things. A lot of crashes in the first final.
We got Larwood there, but he's sixth in the championship. So and see, he's not too far out of it. The SX2 guys, they're nice and bundled up still. You go into the next round, as we said before, 8 to 10 points down. Sort out those few little teething issues. You get yourself, you know, maybe a first, maybe a second sort of thing. That championship hunt is right back in. The other guy I'd like to see who got a heat race rim was Jace Cosford out there.
Dude, Cosford, I mean, if
he
you
looked really good
talking
too.
About the Aussie guys, like he's the next one, 7th in championship. Cosford, Jats Richardson talking about his. Did you see the marathon thing he did? I don't know what that was, but
yeah, he ran like an
Ironman or something.
Ironman ultra marathon sort of
like
thing.
It's just unnecessary, dude. But he is so fit. He had a couple big ones on Saturday at round one.
Train a month up to like getting ready to do like a 51K sort of thing.
Yeah, just like casual off weekend in between Supercross. What was I going to say? But with that being said, Cosford was really impressive. Cosford, like we said in the pre-show, I expected him to step up.
Yep.
He did.
And did, yeah.
And man, Yamalu Yamaha between him and Kingsford.
Yeah.
And look, Barham, unfortunately,
Like they're 6th and 7th there in the championship.
yeah, Barham 11th in the championship, but Barham got collected in that opening heat race crash and got banged up. Like I talked to Nato Crawford, Coach Crawford from Double O, and he said Barham was banged up.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a hard-ass coach, and he was like, that shouldn't have been an excuse.
And that's a tough little kid too.
But, dude, you know what it's like racing Supercross hurt. Like, it ain't fun. And he was doing what he could, I guess. But if we go back now to the top of the championship, Adam.
He was another rider with a bit of fire up on the online comments and stuff.
So
Was it him and
somehow-
Ferg getting after each other.
Yeah. And like Ferg's like, call me
See
when
you-
you're in the top 10. See you at the
See you in
Gong Champ.
Gong Champ. Drops him with the champ.
We got it. I think let's segue into the Instagram beef. So the post goes up on Live Motocross.
Yeah.
And then Beaton is calling out Thompson.
Yeah, with the, was it flat nose of the 88 or something?
Yeah, something about that. And look, it's entertainment. It's media. We're going to talk
Great.
about it.
Then was it Thompson's missus gets in there?
Yeah, and
Dobson gets in there.
did Connolly comment? I don't think he
No,
did.
Jesse Dobson did that.
Dobson started talking about Grady Featherstone from the 2019, and then Featherstone's. It was like
was it Featherstone? Yeah, Mr.
you know the popcorn Simpsons
Oh,
gif
man.
for like the comment wars. It was so good, but look,
Thank you, Jackson Richardson, for all that, putting all that together. I didn't see any of that until jumped on Richo's Instagram that night, and I'm like,
here's the memes from Richardson and the reels. If you don't follow Jats,
You're
just
missing
give
out.
him give
You
him
are
a follow
missing out.
because he won the internet after Redcliffe.
100%.
But
Drops him with the champ. No coming back from that.
the reality is,
These videos with how he's gone and got Supercross's official headshots, laid them over some of the best beefing videos in the business.
so good. But the reality is, right, you've got McElrath, Thompson, and Brody Connolly, 1, 2, and 3 in the championship. They're separated by 2 points apiece, so it's pretty much.
3 guys in that pile up is
Even-
3 guys in our championship.
And first of all, I think we need to talk about Brody Connolly has no business riding Supercross this well.
No.
He was at MSGP of China.
Yep.
Then he was at MX Nations. He has a knee injury. I think he's only had a few days on Supercross track, and he was taking it to the Americans,
Yep.
right?
He's an animal.
Second of all, from some undisclosed sources, there was some beef after night 2
Oh.
when Thompson put him down again.
yeah.
I heard some things went down in the pits. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Get after it, boys.
Apparently,
It's good to see some passion, though, isn't it? Like, these guys are putting their lives on the line. They've got their careers
well,
on
this
the
is their
line.
careers. This is their
Yeah.
income. And Adam knows, being from New Zealand. Did you know this guy's an ex-cop?
I can smell something.
Oh, dude, this guy's got some stories about New Zealand. But what I was gonna say is, Adam, you can back me up on this. You New Zealanders are feisty, right? Like Connolly's got some go in him.
Nah, bro. We're just chilled, mate.
It's all a front, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
But you know,
for
Connolly.
so long we've seen none of the passion. You know, there's none of that. Everyone's their best friend after the line. Like that guy just took 15K out of your family's pocket.
Exactly.
Where you know, maybe don't chin him and put him up on a wall inside the truck or whatever happened.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. But yeah, like, you know, you would be furious. He's, you know, that's big money. It's big time in the championship. He would have walked away with the red plate had after night 1 had that crash not happen. It's good to see these boys with a bit of fire in the belly. Obviously, here at Inside Dirt, we don't condone any fighting inside the pits, and to that, Aiden and Joe say no. But how good is it?
Anyway,
It's good to see the passion. Connolly got after it. You know, I'm sure Uribe was able to sit down with the boys. You know, racing's racing, and you'd have to come to terms with this
Dude,
being
Uribe-
a potential option when you got the 3
Uribe's got
fastest
some
dudes in a car.
skills as a team owner, but I tell you what, he's going to need a qualification in mediation and family law because, like Savachi and Wilson, they weren't getting into it. But you saw the behind the scenes.
Well, Wilson came off after that, where you saw in that great race we were talking about, SX1
with
final,
Clout, yeah.
where that, you know, he came off and was almost wanting to put in a protest and saying that Savachi took him out unfairly and it's just dangerous. And
Yes, like so you've got that dynamic in the truck. You've got
that's one truck.
You've got the UFC in the 250 truck. I mean,
I think we got
Uribe.
Volk at the next round. We might see if we can get something going.
Oh, can you say something like that when you interview him?
We'll
I'm sure you'll slip it
Maybe.
in. You've done worse on the air.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So look,
Man, look
McElrath.
look at the top of the field. We talk about Uribe as a team manager. You look at Honda is absolutely dominating in Australia, has been all year long. And I mean, once again with Supercross, when you've got the 4 fastest guys in the class in the country, you're going to have it expected that one's going to chuck a wheel up the inside here or there. They can't all just be best friends the whole time.
No, you can't. And I think you look at McElrath on night 2. He looked a lot more
composed.
I listened to some media stuff out of America this week, and I heard him criticizing McElrath's decision to drop back down to SX2 and WSX and AUSX. They're like, what is he doing? Where's his career going? I don't know, man. Like, at the end of the day, yeah, he is a former SX2 Supercross champ.
Yep.
And in America, he's had a lot of success, and his career has fizzled a little bit the last couple of years. Nothing wrong, in my opinion. Like, here's the thing. They're going to talk shit on him doing that. When Anstey did it, dropped down to 250s, won Oz Supercross, won World Supercross. Now he's on Star. Now he's back in the game.
Why would you not?
Why would you not? Like, yeah, look, McElrath's aged out. Sorry, eligibility. He can't go back to Supercross in America in SX2. But he can build his career up. And if
100%.
If he wins,
those stepping stones have already been paved. As you said, Anstey
did
laid
it
out
two-
another
last
way that
2
you can
years.
get back to the top.
So I think that's America, man. They're short-sighted sometimes, but it's like he can pave a way here. Same as Thompson. Thompson's doing World Supercross too, right?
Yeah, would be.
Right. So,
but I mean, outside World Supercross and AMA, the other thing is you'd call this easily, the second or third hardest championship or best Supercross championship in the world now. So, for these guys coming over, it's not just that it can pave their way back into it, but they want their fiercest competition. And when Supercross isn't running over there in the US, the next place you go is Justin Brayton, Dean Wilson, all these guys have done now for the past years. You're going to Australia to compete.
And the reality is, you got AMA Supercross, and then you got Oz Supercross. And I think you put that above World Supercross. I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I had that, As it sits at the moment, the depth in the championship this year, for sure.
May not have the world monocle, and like Roxon and Tomac are doing it. But to me, it's still the premier Supercross championship away from AMA Supercross, which is
Australia, New Zealand, Scotland, America, just off the top of the head. So, there's 4 or 5 countries in the first 5 guys that you name in the class. So
absolutely,
it's as close to a world championship as you're going to get.
Yeah, agreed. We'll scroll down in a second for the rest of the results, but I think, again, SX2, I think the gnarliest point for me, Aiden, was just the sheer depth from 5th to 15th.
Well, look where Ferg finished the second night. I think he was 12th or 13th.
That's what I'm saying, man. It was like he won main one, night one. If we can scroll down at him when you get a sec.
The Gong champ.
And seeing the Gong champ. Larwood, Cosford, Taylor, Menier.
He's got 4 or 5 riders here, all tied on points too.
Menier wins heat race. I do not understand how this happened. He wins heat races both nights, goes 6-6, round 1 and round 2, and is 9th in the championship. That math, that quick maths don't math.
He's another guy I've got to talk about. Menier was, they came in with a bit of hype around him and we were expecting him to do all right. He stepped to that plate and he showed that he is definitely going to be one of those guys. If not battling for the championship this year, the guy's going to have to pull their pants up and get ready because next year he's going to be fast.
Well, I don't know if he comes back next year. That's the thing. I mean, it's not.
If there's not a better
It's
offer.
not a very well kept secret that he's likely signed a deal in the States for a very big blue organization. So that's not a secret anymore, and that'll be Supercross futures and amateurs, I believe, like combines and such. Does he come back and race all Supercross? Maybe, but either way, man. Again, I think with Menier,
it's a pretty full calendar over there too. Once you're doing all that,
well, we saw what he did in motocross. In my opinion, he was trying to stay healthy, and I think he's going to try and stay healthy here. He's not going to. He's already got his deal signed in the States. He's not going to jeopardize that doing anything stupid like he may have. The inexperience got him at Adelaide Supercross last year. So, Menier was good though. Reese Bud, big crash, man.
Massive crash.
Big crash.
When Bud crashes, they're always big spectacular crashes.
He's such an athlete, and
animal.
He actually got on top of the whoops as well.
I was going to say he was one of the
not
few. Not every lap, but I saw him a couple of times skim through him as well.
Yeah, he wasn't afraid, but just didn't work out for Reese. But we'll see him back at the Gong. Barham again. We talked about Barham. Atkinson, top privateer.
Yep.
First triumph I've seen racing in the flesh.
Yep.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's nice to see the bike out there. They're a cool looking bit of kit.
Man, they look cool.
They do look pretty tough.
They look cool, and he rode really well. Top privateer in SX2 is no easy feat.
No.
And top
it's
S6.
crazy that you got fully supported team riders outside the top 10 now.
Or you look at Dennis. Yeah, he rode well, but I think he spent as much time on the ground as he did inside the top 3. Like, he led heat races. He was in the top 3 in the mains. He also rode around in like 20th. It was just one of those nights for him where it was like, you know, the cartoons where they get spun around sideways and there's Tweety birds. Like, like he rode really well, but it just
Looney Tunes again.
did not. Yeah, well, you know, kids. Mac O'Brien, second privateer home. Did not have Mac O'Brien pegged for that.
No.
He rides well, but I didn't know he was good at Supercross like that. So hats off to him. Kukus again. I think a quiet round for Kukus. I think he's better and can do more.
We'll see him inside the top 10.
He's on the
for sure.
00 Elite program. He rides from the Gold Coast around that Brisbane area with the crew there. I think we'll see him do more as the season progresses. I think it was a smart opening round for him.
Yep.
Miles Gilmore, another one of 00 Elite. There's a lot of SX2 guys on Big Croft's program in 00 Elite. And Gilmore is from WA, lives over here to train, I think, for Supercross. He's on a Honda privateer bike. Again, 10 to 15 guy. I think that's where he's at. Maybe a little better on a good night.
Yep.
But he was solid. Campbell Williams.
For all these guys doing their first Supercross too, definitely not taking it out saying 10 to 15 guy. The development years that you need in Supercross is not like motocross. You can't come out as a junior and just expect to know how to ride it. A motocross track, you step from juniors, you go line up for MX3. It's the same tracks, the same, you know, basically the same thing.
Yeah, you're just
It's slightly
racing the
different.
same guys you've always raced.
Yeah,
But, you know,
you go to Supercross and how many of these kids you reckon that had a McElrath poster on their wall like in years gone past and now they're banging bars against
well,
them?
McElrath was winning, you know, 2019,
Yeah.
2020, 2021 in America.
So when these kids are 15, 16 years old sort of thing, he's still...
Dude, how's on the segue? McElrath last year is the first time I met him when he came out for WSX. He had the gnarly handlebars. Super, I thought, intense, dude.
Yep.
And then when we talked to Daniel Blair the other
Yeah,
day, he's
yeah.
like, no, he's not like that. I'm like, okay. And then I chatted to him on press day, and I'm like, he's literally the nicest
Yeah, just
person
so chill and
I've
humble.
ever met. And we were talking shit about America, Australia, the differences, like, and we were even talking about the difference, like rednecks and bogans, and just like having fun with it.
We got them.
We do. They dress different.
They were in Redcliffe. apparently.
there were a few on the podium. I won't say that. That's me.
We found what do you mean? Those kids did not cut their hair like that for any other reason than to be the rudest person in the room.
They all right. They earned the right.
There was one kid there. I'm sure he's failing next year's school already.
He's getting, but you know what? Hats off to him, man. They had fun. But I guess McElrath was a cool dude. Campbell Williams. I talked to Cambo. He was 17th overall in the championship after the opening rounds. You know, how's the bike? How's the new team? He's like, man, I'll be real with you. I'm struggling.
Yeah.
He's like, I haven't ridden a big bike for a long time that's Austrian.
Yep.
And he's like, it's just really different to my
It's
Yamaha.
completely different though.
Yeah, he's like, it's really different to my Yamaha. I'm struggling with it a little bit. We'll get there. And I think it showed. Like, he didn't ride bad, but he didn't. You got to be so sharp in Supercross, and he wasn't quite there.
Yep.
Ty Keane. Oh, sorry. Sam Larson. Hey, man. 2-stroke. There it is.
Bring it back.
You know, riding the 2-stroke.
Did you smell it? Like,
Oh, it was great.
How nostalgic. That thing was running so crispy. I stared him down there with the Mad Hueys, who had actually never been to a Supercross before. And
There
the
he is.
2-stroke took off, and they're like, oh, it's just the best smell. It's like, oh, we'll live for it.
And, you know, Sam doing it for Gas Imports with Thor and Michelin.
Things
So
are tough as.
I think he had a motocross rear shock in it because I said to
was
him,
bouncy.
I'm like, dude, what is going on with your rear shock? Because he was seat bouncing things. Every time he did, my heart went like, huh. But
Just hearing that.
but he was going, yeah, do because the rear shock. He's like, yeah, I need to get it stiffened up. But no, he rode well. Awesome mug shot there. And then let's finish off the championship, Adam. It's all good. It's all good. It's his first time directing, folks. We'll give him a second. We're just the meat.
And it is
oh,
crazy.
there it is. There
it is
is.
crazy how stacked that whole SX2 field is. Like, I'd have guys in there that, well, actually, perfect example of it. 13th night 2, 1 night 1. So you can first.
Oh,
the outside the top
flip-flop
10
is-
is crazy.
And then you look at the you know, Ty Keane, Vic Privateer got picked up
Even
by
these
the
guys
winner
outside top 20
motorcycles.
though, they're scoring points in every single race. This is
It's great.
18th, you're sort of consistently 16th all night.
Great to see. Like, and Ty Keane, another Thor guy, was wearing the Thor 25 out there. Looked great. Winner Motorcycles team. And then Benny Novak. But the amount of guys that didn't, you know, Benny Novak, shout out to him finishing 20. Amount of guys that didn't qualify.
Yeah.
You know, Bailey Malkowitz.
Yeah.
Like big name guys that didn't even make the evening, crashing
all right?
in.
Bailey had
I don't know, dude. He had a big one through the whoops.
Yeah.
He got on top of the whoops. He
Yeah.
put his big boy pants on, but he also got broken off in the whoops. I didn't see it. I heard it was a big one.
Yeah, same.
But there was a lot of guys, man, that didn't qualify that were good. 10, maybe in the top 10 riders. So all right, Inside Dirt Show, Redcliffe, AUSX rounds 1 and 2 recap show. Aiden, this is being brought to you by the guys at Gas Imports with the Michelin Star Cross 6 and the Thor MX 2025 range. Adam, we'll go to SX3 now. We'll do a quick little segue to SX3 and the 85s. Now, I'll be real with you, Aiden. I did not have Seth Birchall dominating both rounds.
Pumped him.
Absolutely,
dominant,
dude.
like really dominant. Super impressive.
I remember him on an 85 in Supercross back when we did 19 Supercross. You and I commentated, and he won a lot.
Yep.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And man,
There's a
he
big difference between
looks
85 and 250 Supercross.
like Jake Cannon. I wouldn't even say Cannon was faster. You expect Cannon to be faster. I can't remember the results off the top of my head, but I think Birchall won both mains, right? Yep. And they had a traditional format. They had traditional format. 10-lap main, I think, or 8-lap main.
Yeah, and then you look at the mixed bag. So 50 for Birchall.
He's 12 points up right now.
Already, yeah. And they just had back-to-back sort of thing.
But the thing is...
No, I had Cannon and Woods as sort of my guys.
You're going to have Team Cannon in his corner. Again, the rumor mill is Cannon has signed a Euro deal next year. I don't want to say who or what. That's what you hear.
Where'd you hear that from?
The pits. The pits.
Just around.
The pits people. The pits talk.
People in the pits.
But
Yep.
it's one of those secrets. It's not the best kept again. But again, you go, right, is Supercross in his future if he's going to MXGP? Probably not.
No.
So are they going to risk it? He had a couple crashes.
Would you give up a Euro contract for an SX3 title?
No, you're not going to do that, right? So, at this point, Cannon was bouncing around. He was on the floor. He was up front. Yeah. Typical SX3 main event performance. But Birchall, bro, dialed. Yeah. Like, executed, good starts, no crashes.
An SX2 rider. Yeah, consistent. The transitions, hit every rhythm, smooth in and out of the corners. Even to the point, didn't see him make mistakes. Now, the track and something we didn't talk about, there's a lot of pebbles in it, a lot of little rocks. And the roost was pretty gnarly, which you saw a lot of, front wheel movement, a lot of guys just knifing the front and pushing the front. Dialed. Every lap in, lap out for a guy that young that, we haven't really seen in Supercross before. Every single turn, every section, just dialed.
Just dialed. He was
really good.
Triple before the stadium triple. Tripling on off through
rhythms
the...
that not all the SX2 were doing.
No, really solid. Cannon, we talked about. Woods, again... A good Supercross rider, a good SX3 rider. He's probably odds on to win Pro MX in MX3 next year. There's a lot of movement in MX3 with riders and deals that we'll get to in the silly season stuff. But right now, Woods, again, same as Cannon. He was up front. He was on his head. He crashed here. He did well there. But he started in the championship. Man, Jack Byrne, I'm going to be real with you. I do not know a thing about Jack Byrne. I don't think he did Pro MX.
I'm going to make it my business to find out.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll talk to him at Wollongong. He's got a ride with Toddy.
Yep.
And I was like, he's another one of Toddy's support guys.
Yep.
But he was the best of the rest.
Yeah. Again, consistently. Normally you talk about this class as you're watching it through your fingers going, oh, this is going to look bad.
Don't get me wrong. There was some of that going on. There was.
It was more like one finger across the eye sort of thing rather than a whole hand. But for that sort of, 12 through to the front sort of thing, those top 10 guys, they looked like Supercrossers. They
did.
Good clearing laps, consistency. There's always carnage, but you look at the carnage that was in SX2 or SX1, there was people going down left, right and center. That's what Supercross is. For the the top 10 of these guys, they're going to transition into that SX2 class so smoothly. They've obviously got another big season of Pro MX next year before they get to that. But we're going to see some guys really come in and shake up that SX2 class as well.
No, for sure. So Byrne really impressed me. We'll just round the top 10 out with SX3. Joel Campbell, Travis Lindsay, Cooper Rowe, and Joel Freeberg. That was your SX3 top 10. And we'll go to 85s real quick, Adam, because this was an entertaining class. Seth Thomas.
Some of these kids just send it, hey.
I was
Tate Reed sent the triple second lap. First lap, the yellow went down just dead.
Let's talk about Tate Reed. Shout out Tate Reed. Hope he gets better.
Yeah.
Last year, I felt he was learning to race.
Yep.
He was learning Supercross.
Yep.
And everyone was a little bit like, oh, is this the right thing for him to be doing? He's Chad Reed's son. There's a lot of pressure on him. He didn't look comfortable. Didn't make the main at one point and got in with the alternate.
Yeah. Switch that.
None of
to
this is talking
24.
shit. None of this is talking shit. Like, this is the reality of it, right? I talked to him on press day. He's grown. Puberty's kicking in. He's holding himself different. And I was like, okay, he's feeling it.
Yep.
Bro, practice. Went out there and I was
2
like,
seconds.
is that Chad Reed on an 85? Like you said, second lap, triple.
Yeah.
Stadium triple, finish jump. Like 1 point something seconds faster.
Yeah, 1.7 seconds faster or something. And on an 85, that's huge because you
That's
can't get on
huge.
top of everything. You got basically all the same rhythms that you have to do. Then you see him. I did the interview in the pit party, and he came up there on that night number one. Very well spoken, as you said. Puberty's kicked in. He's that bit bigger, bit stronger, bit everything. And we're talking about the triple. He's like, a little bit scared. Just, sort of got to have some balls and just send it. It's like, what a mentality for an 85.
Like I can't stress enough. He went from being Chad Reed's son to being Tate Reed.
Yeah, 100%.
And again, he didn't get to show it. Poor kid got collected in the heat race, first rhythm crash, folded his ribs, collarbone, lung issues. And we interviewed Chad in opening ceremonies on Saturday night. He was tearing up, man. And it was really a human aspect to Chad Reed I've never seen before, being dad. And as a father yourself, myself, you go,
It's scary, man.
like seeing your kids hurt is awful. And obviously Tate wants to do it. He's put himself in that meat grinder that is Supercross. And bro, I'm telling you, what you agree, I'm sure you do. Watching him in practice qualifying,
Different kid.
he's going to be a pro Supercross rider.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
he's going to be a guy in the future in America, no doubt in my mind. So that was cool to see. Shout out
Another
Tate.
little
Got
Hayden
her.
Deegan sort of coming along.
But then we had the absolute. We're going to tee this up behind us. So this was the main event on Saturday night.
Sick.
Cooper Ford has the main done. He's like, yeah, I'm going wide. Going to win this run. Jack Nunn goes, sorry, mate. I'm going to make the pass. Nunn falls over the top of the finish line with the fist pump. He's got the win. Ford has to spin around. I think Ford gets second or third. And then Seth Thomas jumps over both of them. You got Nixon Darrow. Like, there was so much good racing.
That's a dangerous place to stand and fist pump.
Yeah, I think Jack Nunn will learn his lesson to get out of the canyon a little quicker next time. But championship right now, you got Thomas, Nunn.
Hot on points.
I don't even know where Tyson Williams came from. No disrespect to him. I don't know how he's third in the points. Cooper Ford obviously had a bit of a crazy night on night one.
Oh, yeah, Nixon up there as well.
Nixon Darrow was consistent,
Yep.
but it's Seth Thomas, Jack Nunn. I think Darrow could probably run with those guys with better starts.
Yep.
Cooper Ford, that's just sort of 4 or 5 in the CR22 85 Cup now. But yeah, man, that's going to round out, Aiden, the inaugural Inside Dirt Show brought to you by Gas Imports with Thoromex Australia and the Michelin Starcross 6 in the new Marucci Door studio, courtesy of Adam Styles, Turning Points Media.
Let's hope he can just do some wonders with this lighting.
Thanks, mate. He doesn't want to get on the mic.
No, I'm a man of few words.
That's all right. We're a man.
We're men of many.
Plenty.
We will
Plenty
make
of
up for
words.
that. But no, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for being patient with the Redcliffe review. We hope you enjoy the new content. The reels will be coming out of this, so check the socials. We did a really cool collab I forgot to talk about. I don't know why I just said it like that. Collab.
Been on the gram.
Stop it, Ron. With Whiskey Throttle. So shout out Whiskey Throttle in America, Whiskey Throttle Media. We are going to be doing shared reels with Whiskey Throttle Media with Inside Dirt all Supercross season. From round 1, you would have seen it. We're doing the single clip behind the scenes reels for practice, racing, etc.
Yep.
So, if you follow Whiskey Throttle, you'll see those. If you follow us, you'll see those. So yeah, man, cool stuff happening with Inside Dirt. We're going to keep this program moving. We've got the studio now. And Oz Supercross is on a roll, Aiden. So again, once again, thanks, Gas
I'm
Imports.
just going to get you real quick there, Joe. I need you 1, 2, 3 from the gong as well.
Oh yeah,
Pick
yeah.
1, 2, 3 from the gong. We've got to get some tips out there. Get some social
Dude,
media going.
can
Send in your
you-
tips too.
The format. I want to know the format. I wonder what it is.
It would be.
Yeah, you can't find it, can you? Okay. Well, completely blind without knowing the format. SX1 is going to be Savachi,
P1.
P1.
Yep.
Wilson, P2.
Yep.
I'm actually going to go repeat, Clout, P3.
Yeah.
What do you got?
It's hard to go against that.
I think Tanny's going to be good, but I don't think he ends on the podium.
Yeah. I mean, look at the guys who's got to try and break in there. I'm going to mix it up with one guy out of there. I think Dino Savachi beaten.
As far as you've been. All right. You can go first in SX2.
SX2. From the red truck.
Which one?
Out of the red corner.
Fighting out of the red corner.
No, I reckon Ferg comes back on. So I think Ferg for P3.
Yeah.
I think Connolly P2 and McElrath P1. I think he's just going to be too strong.
Yeah, I think McElrath P1, Connolly P2, and then honestly, I don't even know. I reckon Kingsford maybe P3,
Yeah.
maybe Reed
Oh,
Taylor.
yeah, I was going to say Reed Taylor back in there too.
Adam, who you got?
Oh, definitely Wilson and SX1. He's my guy. He's just such a legend of the sport. I heard him on the podium speech or just after the podium on Sunday. You know, he's like, that was so sick. The fans were really into it. You know, he just cares about the sport and cares about the fans. So,
Who's not a Dino
He's
fan?
the people's champ.
Yeah, he
Absolutely.
Is. He is. And
FRL.
I haven't thought past that. Just
Okay.
all the way.
All right.
Just
Fair
P1.
enough.
Just P1.
All right, guys, that's your Inside Dirt Show Redcliffe wrap up. We'll be back next week for a Pit Talk episode prior to Wollongong.
Yep.
And we will see you guys there, or we'll bring you the action after. Thanks for listening. Sweet.
That's such a different show, hey?
So much better.
So easy.